Eat it. Oxygen. Why we
Don't forget to follow Grit Daily News as well as me, your host, Loralyn Mears, everywhere on social media. And how about throwing 4 or 5 stars our way if you're listening to Apple or Spotify? Subscribe to our show. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Grit Files. I'm Loralyn Mears, and in with us today we've got Josh York. He is the founder of GYMGUYZ. So from a very, very early age, Josh recognized the importance and the difference between making excuses and actually executing on the things that you want to do. And you can see the resilience behind this brand and then the driving force behind GYMGUYZ, which is bringing in-home training to a whole new level. So with that, welcome, Josh.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, everyone starts off and they usually want to know, well, tell us the impetus behind GYMGUYZ. Well, we're going to skip right over that and tell us about the hardest, grittiest thing that you've experienced on your journey here leading GYMGUYZ.
Oh, that's very simple. Probably the worst cash flow issues you could possibly ever imagine for probably a decade. So bad that I've had over 200, I think the number is 233. I got to double check that. I've had 233 non-sufficient fund notices given to me. So you just add up $35 times 233. That's how much money I paid in non-sufficient funds. I used to go to the bank every single day, and the numbers, yeah, it's a little over $8,000. It's like 8,200, something like that. I used to go to the bank every single day, and you know, a normal person would probably be very embarrassed or ashamed. And all I know in the back of my mind was, you know what? One day it's not going to be like this. One day it's not going to be like this. One day, and I would just constantly tell myself that. And here we are today. We're the largest fitness, in the personal training space, the largest personal training company in the world. We service over 800 cities. We operate in the U.S., Canada, the UK, and we're going to change the fitness game forever.
So this is the inspiration our founders need, because we've got a lot of entrepreneurs who are A, bootstrapped, B, struggling with funding and financing, and C, many people in our listener audience are women, people of color, and they tend to have a harder time getting access to funds and the people that they need to move their business ideas forward. So how does a founder keep going? Like, how are you that strongly compelled that you're like, okay, bounce check or whatever, NSF number 80, number 90, number 200. How do you just not give it up? Talk to us about the mental stamina.
So I don't want to come across cocky. I just, some people like me, some people don't. That's fine. I don't care. I'm the baddest person in the world. That's what I believe. You cannot touch my mindset. I'm unstoppable. And I just have a threshold for pain that the majority of people would never be able to handle. And what I've done is over the years, I've trained myself, and I use fitness as my component to do that. Just want to fix my camera, it's blurry. There we go. So I use fitness as my component to do that. And you see, people think that, you need to be so smart and you need to graduate with an A+ and a GPA of a 3.5 or higher. And that's all nonsense. You need this right here. Business is 80% mindset. If you don't have the right mindset, you are going to crumble and do what 90% of people in the world do. Fold like cheap chairs. Too many people are weak and soft. And someone like me is going to come in and eat all your food because, most people like to really just, procrastinate. And they're sitting there and they're waiting for the perfect time. They want the sun to be shining and they want all the beautiful flowers out and they want it to be just amazing at a 75-degree temperature. There's never a perfect time. There's no perfect conditions. You got to be an animal and you have to train yourself to do uncomfortable things. Any day you have without pain is a day without sunshine. Pain is the greatest thing you can ever do is experience pain and put yourself through discomfort. And I use fitness every single day, along with my ice bath at 27 degrees and my sauna at 180 degrees for 30 minutes with no water and all the other crazy things I do because I'm the best. And I believe that. And if you do the same things that I'm telling you to do, you can be the best too. Because when you work out and you move your body, Movement cures everything. And when you're confident and you look good naked, you feel different about yourself. Okay. I like, I see all these motivational speakers out there in the world, and some of them are out of shape and heavy. And I can't understand how someone can be a motivational speaker when they can't take care of themselves. That's a problem to me. But if you take care of yourself and you are mentally strong and you train yourself, you can push through anything, because the easy way never pays well, ever, ever. The only way that pays well is the difficult, hard way. That's the formula right there.
Right? High risk, high reward. So let's unpack that. You had a lot of things within that. So number one, talking about the strength of the mindset and saying use fitness as the vehicle for founders to be able to achieve that. So maybe you could talk to us, of course, without violating any client confidentialities or anything. Some of the clients who came in and really struggled, and they were those excuses first people. What did you do to get them to the other side? I've seen some of the before and after transformations. They're incredible. What did you do?
So there's two different sides to this, right? The question you asked me before, I'm talking like entrepreneurs. I'm talking about people who are in business or people who are entrepreneurs. In this situation, see, the reason I created my service is because people need accountability. Okay. People can't turn on an app. You see all these things out here, technology based. I really don't believe in any of them. And I think they're all going to eventually just fade out and go on to the next thing, because people don't have the ability to be consistent with it. And that's the challenge. You need someone holding you accountable. So we provide accountability. And when you have accountability and work out together one-on-one, you get results. And what do? We use our technology within our company and our app to monitor and track and keep everyone on point, so we can help them reach their goals. And we push them and we train them and teach them what it's like to live a healthy lifestyle. And that's what we do. It's great to make a living, but it's really great to make a difference. And we do that on a daily basis.
Let's keep going a little bit further. So again, thinking of some of the clients, potentially maybe, like you said, entrepreneurs, whatever that they are, but they come in and they're ready to make a change. So they've got some willingness. They're ready to make that investment, that time commitment, that financial commitment to say, okay, hold me accountable, show me the way. Using those insights that you've gained from supporting so many clients, what would you tell founders to do who are struggling right now? Maybe they're on NSF check bounce number 3. And they're like, oh my God, I got to give it up. I got to sell the business. What do I do? What do you recommend to them that they do?
It's very simple. Good times create weak people. Bad times create strong people. And stop being soft. It's very simple. Stop being soft. See, people like to jump like grasshoppers. To me, I can't stand when someone's like, well, I tried it. Well, I tried it 3 times. It didn't work. Oh, I tried it for 2 months. It didn't work. It takes years and years of hard work. Motivation will never get you anywhere. It's called discipline. I have never, ever missed a wake-up call, ever. I wake up every single morning. It used to be a little later. Now it's at 3:29. I used to do 3:33, and then I used to do 3:41. I always do all like odd times, not like 3:45 or 3:30, because that's what normal people do. And trust me, normal never works. But I've never missed a day. You don't think there's days when I'm tired? Of course I'm tired. I'm exhausted. It's not how you handle yourself during the easy times. It's how you handle yourself during the hard times. And the simple rule to success, I'm going to give it to you right now. I'm going to give you the formula. And this is coming from a person that started a business with 15 grand. And now I run an international company, a multi-million dollar international company. You never quit. That's it. You never quit. It doesn't matter how bad it is. It doesn't matter if your house is about to get foreclosed. It doesn't matter. You never quit. Every problem has a solution. The question is, are you mentally strong enough to get to the solution?
That's right. You talk about quitting. So I have a couple of questions there related to what some of the trends that we're seeing in the marketplace right now. So number one, investors were all hot and heavy last year, Web3, NFTs, crypto, cyber, all of this sort of stuff, and throwing out $1 million checks for PowerPoints. A lot of those founders have now said, ooh, wait a minute, this is really hard to run a business. I'm out. And it's that lack of mental toughness. And now the investors are recoiling, going, wait a minute, but we gave you $1 million. Now maybe we want to be a little bit more cautious about all of the other investments that we make. Related to that, Gen Z is being heavily criticized for being the snowflake generation. They crumble at the least bit of heat. They don't have resilience. What are your messages to those founders that are crumbling and Gen Z? I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Maybe not messages. What are your thoughts about these trends in the industry right now?
Look, you could say, you can go so many different directions. It's like the same people that say I'm not succeeding because of the president, or I'm not succeeding because the gas prices are too high. I don't pay attention to any of that nonsense. Yeah, okay. Gas prices are high, inflation, okay, whatever. This too shall pass. I just keep moving. That's it. I just keep moving. And you got to keep moving and stop making excuses. Everyone makes excuses. That's the problem. I don't make excuses. I just get after it and get after it and get after it. And why everyone was crumbling, during the pandemic, and they were saying, and I don't want to sound insensitive, but I'm being real. Okay. At the end of the day, while everyone was sad, and I pivoted. And it didn't affect us that much because I pivoted right away. I like to always compare it to my ice bath. When you jump in the thing, it's 27 degrees. At first, it's kind of, a little cold.
A
Now,
little.
a little bit. I've been doing it so long that it really doesn't affect me. It's just like anything else. But, then you kind of adapt to it. And it's okay after a certain period of time. Now, for the majority of people who have never taken an ice bath, they can't even take a cold shower. They're going to start screaming. Those are the people that pretty much failed and didn't succeed during the pandemic. The ones who succeeded are the animals and the go-getters and the grit people like myself and others who get after it. That's it. I've used the pandemic to my advantage in many, many ways. And, we're rocking and rolling. And then the new thing is everyone's like, no one wants to work. It's a great resignation and all this other. I don't feed into any of that nonsense. You got to adapt. If you don't pivot, you die. It's very simple. You have to be able to pivot. And that's why I talk about doing uncomfortable things, because sometimes you're going to have to, and not even sometimes, most of the time, you're going to have to do things that you don't want to do, or get out of a routine, or shift something, or change something, whether it's a structure within your organization or a price or a service, whatever it is. And if you're not uncomfortable on a daily basis and seeking pain, like I seek pain every day, if you don't do that, it's going to be that much harder for you. And if you're smart enough to use these issues and challenges as an advantage to yourself, like the pandemic was tough. Like of course it was tough. Like you had to maneuver. Now, a good leader is a good actor or a good actress. And my team never knew that I was nervous, but of course I was a little nervous, but no one ever knew that, because I'm the best poker player in the world and I've never even played poker. And you have to be as a leader. It's very important, because if your team feels negative energy, they're not going to believe in you. But what do you think my team thinks of me now? I didn't furlough or lay off anyone. I called mentors that run multi-billion-dollar companies of mine, and they told me I had to lay off 50-60% of people. But I always lead with my heart first and my head second. And I knew that wasn't the right move. So as painful as it was, I refused to do it. And we're still here. We're still here. We're doing great. So, it comes down to that.
That's right. That mindset, that power of conviction. It's advice I often give young entrepreneurs as well. I mentor many of them. So you need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because that's what it is. Every day, it's just a different level of discomfort. There's something else that's on fire. And while you're trying to deal with the raging inferno, you can look beyond it and see that there's 7 other fires piling up and a few things smoking, but those are coming next. And you've got to get comfortable with that. So with all this strength that you have, Josh, what's your kryptonite? What takes you out at the knees?
Nothing. Maybe my kids, right? But nothing, nothing really. And again, a lot of people call me Superman. I'm a big hockey player. Everyone I play hockey with, they always call me Superman. But, I want to just be clear. Like, I used to suffer from severe anxiety, like so bad. I used to throw up every morning for probably 2 years in the early days of business. It used to be so difficult for me to have a conversation with a team member if I had to, say something that was obviously not nice, or I had to give up an update, that I would literally be puking before I would talk to that person. Before I would go on TV, and I've been on TV now, I don't know, maybe over 300 times. The first time I went on TV, and you would never tell from the interview, I was puking in the bathroom. So, I've suffered a lot, and suffering is the way to everything, but you have to just do it. You have to do it. You don't question. You got to be patient with results and impatient with action. And you have to take action and just do it. And whenever there's things that are uncomfortable, like I always just say, I got to do it. And the best thing, and a little tip that I can give you, and this might be twisted, but you got to be twisted if you want to make things happen. I always tell myself that my family will die if I don't wake up in the morning, or my family will die if I don't get this deal done. And that is what I do. And that is what motivates the living life out of me every single day, because, I didn't have a great life growing up. My life was very challenging. So I want to be able to make sure my kids never have to experience anything that I experienced. And that's why I work so hard. And that's why I'm driven. And that's why my big reference is Fuel Your Drive, right? That's the name of my podcast, the name of my book, all that, because you got to fuel your drive. When someone says something negative to you, use it as fuel to fuel your drive. When, you think something's not going to happen, you got to kick it in. You got to use that as fuel, and you got to fuel your drive. You have to understand, I'm big by this saying, this too shall pass, because it's very true. Like, people thought during the pandemic in 2020, oh my God, this is never going to end. No, this too shall pass. What's going on right now in the world, this too shall pass. But that applies to success, and that applies to failure. So you might be having a winning season. Trust me, your losing season's coming. It's coming. So you better get ready for it. And then it's going to pass, and you're going to have a winning season again. Life is like a roller coaster. Just strap on tight and make sure you're going to enjoy both of them, because you have to. It's the process. You got to enjoy it. I live off chaos. I actually love chaos. I love it. I love it.
Do you think that that's a byproduct of your childhood, that it forced you to have this level of drive and thrive with chaos and uncertainty? And that's maybe one of the things that's making GYMGUYZ so successful here, even during the pandemic, because a lot of people shut down in the face of uncertainty.
I do. Yeah, I do. I definitely do. Yep, I do. But I do believe also you can train yourself. I really do, but I've always been different. I've just always been like, I just think about things like I never understood as a young kid, but when I look back and I think of things I used to do, I'm like, holy smokes. And now I see to my kids, like my kids are going to be just animals. Like they're going to be like the most successful, like they're just, and again, that's why I always say good leaders create good leaders, because I don't tell my kids to do anything. They just watch daddy, like we just purchased a brand new building. My first building we purchased, we're moving our headquarters into it. And
congratulations.
Thank you very much. I had my whole family out there on the weekend, shovels, rakes, we're doing work, and everybody's working, and it was funny. One of my neighbors, who I really don't, I'm not a big fan of, I don't really like, my tenant is the bank there, and she was pulling up to the bank, and she was like, so she's like, what are you guys doing here? And I was like, we're starting to do some landscaping on this side. I thought it was really funny, but anyway, you have to lead by example, and a good leader always leads by example, and then you'll create other good leaders.
And I think there's a lot to be said about that too, that as the leader, and you're setting that example, that there is no job that you would not do, because that creates a corporate culture of respect and understanding. Hey, if the CEO is getting his hands dirty, I should be okay with that too.
And I'm a little weird, but I'm going to be real with you. Like, I was just cleaning urine off the toilet seat the other day, and someone's like, you're the CEO. Like, why do you do things like that? Because you know what? Presentation is everything. That's why I do it. And you know what? If I'm cleaning off urine, you could too. That's it. But that's why my team is incredible. I got the best team in the world. Like, you don't understand. My team is incredible, but everyone understands the deal. And if you want to do things that other people are not able to do or have, you have to be willing to do things that other people won't do. That's it.
Talk to us about how you recruit for your team. I think you could offer a lot of insights there. What do you look for? What's your screening process look like?
Well, the first question I always ask myself is, would I let this person watch my children? That's the first question I always ask. Like, would I feel comfortable enough to have this person in my house watching my kids? If the answer is no, I will not proceed. If someone is not on early, like 15 minutes, to me, 15 minutes early is on time. If they're not, done. I literally, and people tell me I'm crazy with that, but I will, that is one of like my non-negotiables, because, that says a lot about you. Like, if I was going to an interview, what I usually do is I would go drive there the day before to make sure I know the area, know the building, make sure I know where I'm going, and so I'm not lost. But people don't put that type of work in to actually go the extra mile. But I can't give out all my secrets, but we do a lot of unique things that probably, most people are like, wow, I've never done things like this, or like, I've never had an interview like this in my life. Just like, this will be the greatest podcast you're ever going to do. Like, you'll never have anyone with energy like me. You'll never have anyone to give information. I'm not being cocky. I'm just being real with you. But that's what people say when they come for interviews with me, because I am different. But when you're able to be different, and if you want to be like everyone else, look, you're going to be in that stat that 85% of people actually drive to work and sign in virtually daily. This is an actual stat, committing spiritual suicide. They're miserable. If you hate Mondays, you are so broken. But the problem is most people don't understand how important culture is in business. You have to have a good culture. You don't have a good culture and you're not having fun. You could work hard, yeah, but if you're not having fun, no one's going to want to be part of what you're doing. No one.
That's exactly it. And so looking back, all the experiences you've had personally and professionally, if I gave you an undo button and said, Josh, you get to hit it once, what one thing do you undo?
You know, it's funny. People ask me this all the time. And honestly, I wouldn't undo anything. And I'm going to tell you why. Because every mistake I've made and every failure, I look at losses as lessons. And, you know, yeah, okay, maybe I would have not hired this person, but you know what? This is real, okay? The universe is real. And I will tell you, I have pulled off the craziest things ever. Some have taken 4 years, 5 years. I'm about to sit down and have dinner with Phil Knight next month, the founder of Nike.
Yes, absolutely. Of course.
So
His book.
The greatest book ever. That's actually Phil Knight right there. That's his, he signed that.
Yes, Shoe Dog.
And,
Nice.
Yeah. Shoe Dog is, I implore anyone who's listening to this to read that book. That is the greatest business book. I have such ADD, I cannot actually read a book. I usually listen to audiobooks. Shoe Dog is the only book I've ever read, and I've actually read it 3 times. Greatest business book in the world. Now, it took me a very long time to connect with Mr. Knight. But at the end of the day, you know, when you put it out in the universe and you believe it, the problem is people don't dream big enough. People listen to parents and relatives who've never done what you're trying to do, and they take their advice, which is horrible. Listen to siblings or significant others, horrible. You have to believe in you. So would I change anything? No, because every mistake I've made plenty of mistakes. I've lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in mistakes probably over the years. I wouldn't change it because it's made me who I am today. But to kind of go side and side with your question, what I would make sure you understand is the reason I'm saying I wouldn't change it is because if I make a mistake, I learn from it and I never let it happen again. So that's very important. So if I didn't do that, then I would probably say I would change something. But you have to make sure if you make a mistake, really let it absorb and understand what you did wrong and make sure you never do it again.
Bingo, bingo. And all your words about filtering out all of the noise, and regardless of the sources or the intention of the loved ones and that behind you, know your why and keep going. So if we were to write a headline now I'm being the journalist here at Grit Daily News and said, all right, Josh York does something. What's the headline that you want people to recognize you for?
Josh York is handsome. That's what I would talk about.
Okay.
I would just say, you know, Josh York is willing to help. You know, one thing I always said to myself, I would always talk to the person upstairs during all those challenging times I've had. And I still have them to this day. Like, you're always going to have problems in business, is that I promise I will always give back. I will always give back. I will always make sure I can help, and I'll always do good things. When you do good things come back to you. So I have some non-negotiables of things I do, whether I match a check when I go out to dinner with my family and watch the waiter cry because I gave him a huge tip, or if I just pay attention when I'm in a supermarket to someone not having a good day. It could be $10 or $100. I pay for their groceries. I do things like that all the time. You have to do good. When you do good, good things come back to you. It's very, very important. You got to be honest. You got to be real. You got to develop core values and have values, not just for your company, but for yourself. And you have to align with those values. And if you're being not honest and you're being fake, you're hurting yourself and you're never going to get to the next level.
Josh, these are such great words. And I think, again, like just the tone and the strength and conviction behind them. I hope all of our listeners, hey, out there, you're tuning in here. Josh York, GYMGUYZ. So last question, Josh. It's a silly one, but it is our signature question.
Sure.
And, you know, I've learned not to make assumptions with this question, and you'll see why. If we were to go into your closet right now and there was one pair of shoes in there that personified who you are, describe that footwear to us and why it represents you, your personality, your values.
100% sneakers, you know, like first of all, you're talking to
That's
a man.
My assumption.
You're talking to a man who wears the same clothes every day. So I have like 20 of these shirts. All I wear is GYMGUYZ. Another thing, if you're not always branding, that's a problem. I am always branding. You will never catch me wearing anything else but gym guys. And I literally, like, if I like something, I buy 15 of them and that's all I wear. But the reason I wear sneakers, and I always, because I'm just going to outrun everybody. I'm going to outrun you. I'm going to outsmoke you. And I'm not saying this in a cocky way. I'm just being real. And if you want to keep up with me and get on my level, you got to start now. So my question is to you, what have you done in the last 1,000 days that you've been consistent? Because that's really what it takes. And that's really what will show you if you got the goods. If you got the goods, because most people, 2-3 weeks, they're done, and I have, great franchise partners. And I think about people in the past who I've had who unfortunately didn't make it. Some people in business are not going to make it. And that happens in all franchise systems. And these are the people that are like, oh, I tried it once, it didn't work. It took me 70 attempts to get into Costco. 70. That was over like a 4.5-year period. You have to be consistent. So that's why I choose running shoes.
Fantastic. All right. With that, Josh York, GYMGUYZ, thank you for putting it out there and saying outcomes over excuses wins the day, right? Stay focused. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
And how about that fantastic intro by Touch Circle?